Okay, here's a Times pick. New York Times picked this comment. This person wrote in to an article talking about amid desperate need for ventilators, calls grow for federal intervention. David H., Washington, D.C., said, I worked at the State Department before, during, and after 9/11 and remember vividly the chaos that was taking place in Foggy Bottom. I recall the day of the attack. Northbound traffic was moving in southbound lanes and vice versa on Constitution Avenue. That's how discombobulated people were. It's easy to criticize Mr. Trump and his administration, but none of us is on the meetings, phone calls, and teleconferences that are taking place by the hundreds and dozens of cabinet agencies across the USG. All the while, a multiplicity of medical, health, finance, and other experts are all offering conflicting assessments, which must be reconciled by some sort of policy approach to the White House. Let's pray for the success of this effort instead of continually tearing down the most imperfect Mr. Trump. I read through some of the comments, and most of the comments, they don't, most of the responses to him do not agree with what he's saying. And first of all, 9/11 was something that happened, out of the blue. You didn't see it coming, You wake up one morning and wow, the World Trade Center is struck by an airplane. That's enough to have you agitated. Then, not too long after, another airplane strike the World Trade Center, the second tower. Then I think one in Pennsylvania, then the Pentagon. So you're in shock. This virus, however, this was not you know, like 9/11 to make you drive on the wrong side of the street like you're in England or Thailand. No, that's not it. But here is one of my favorite responses. And by the way, Trump could have formed a commission. He could have called in the vice president. And right away with what was going on in China, then in South Korea, in Italy, he could have called in the vice president way back in January and put a team together instead of passing this $2.2 trillion bill and now trying to tell General Motors to make ventilators. He could have been doing all that before. You wouldn't need to be sending people a $1,200 check. That could have been, no, that didn't have to happen. It would be easier to spend money to test everybody in America, which would cost you much less money than spending $2.2 trillion trying to fix the economy. So let's go down to this person named Trina, who made a comment here. I'm just going to read that one comment because I think she said it all. Trina from Indiana. David H. responding, revisionist history, please. January 20th. This is Trump, all Trump's quotes, words. I know more about viruses than anyone. Imagine that. I know more about viruses than anyone. And by the way, to work with viruses, you need an electron microscope. I remember when I was in college, I took microbiology, but I used to see bacteria in the lab under the microscope. Yeah, like the gram-positive bacteria, like Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, and so forth. Spirochaete, you could see those under the regular microscope, but I never saw I never really saw a virus because we didn't have an electron microscope. in the college that I attended. I've seen it in pictures. So here is Trump saying, "I know more about viruses than anyone." To make a comment like that, that means you work in the field. Maybe you're a virologist and you know what you're talking about. So that's an ignorant comment. January 22nd, we have it totally under control. It's one person, okay? It was one person coming from China. It's going to be just fine. February 2nd, we pretty much shut it down coming from China. February 24th, the coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. Stock market starting to look very good to me. February 25th, CDC and my administration are doing great job of handling coronavirus. February 25th, I guess later that day. I think that's a problem that's going to go away. They have studied it. They know very much. In fact, we are very close to a vaccine. you know, Vaccine takes like maybe a year and a half. February 26th, the 15 cases in the U.S., right? The 15, that's cases in the U.S., within a couple of days is going to be down to close to zero. February 27, one day is like a miracle. It will disappear. February 28, we're ordering a lot of supplies. We're ordering a lot of elements that frankly we wouldn't be ordering unless it was something like this. But we're ordering a lot of different elements of medical. March 5th, United States has of now only 129 cases and 11 deaths. That was March the 5th. Today is March the 28th. And we have thousands of cases right now. Let's see here. Let's look at the cases in the U.S., right? So this was March the 5th. He said, as of now, only 129 cases, 11 deaths. Right? Right now, this morning, the U.S. has over 104,007 cases in the U.S. Like over 1,500 dead already. So you go from March the 5th to today, this morning, the 28th. So that's a difference of 23 days. And this is what you have already. So he said, we are working very hard to keep these numbers as low as possible. Well, those numbers went way high. So obviously, does that mean he wasn't working hard enough? You have to ask yourself that question. Because you go from 129 to over 105,000. So definitely something is sure wrong here. 104,007 cases. March the 6th. I like this stuff. I really get it. People are surprised that I understand it. Every one of these doctors said, "How do you know so much about this?" Maybe I have a natural ability. Maybe I should have done that instead of running for president. Now, come on. The president of the United States usually is like in a bubble, I mean, how many doctors are going to be around the president of the United States to be telling him, that how do you know so much about this stuff? Every one of these doctors. What does he know? Yeah. The only doctors he would be meeting with the people in the top echelon that you see up there in the White House, but the regular doctors, unless he goes to Walter Reed, And I don't think there's a problem this at Walter Reed Hospital. Okay, March the 6th. I don't need to have the numbers double because of one ship. That wasn't our fault. So he's talking about a ship that was off San Francisco with probably a few sick passengers. Some of them were American citizens. And to him, his idea was it's best to keep the ship out of sea because if you allow the ship to dock in the United States, the numbers will go up, and he wouldn't like that, you know. So this is what we're dealing with here. And then she concluded after she wrote all that, quoting his word. She said here, Trump's incompetent, and then she got like 117 replies, which I'm not even gonna respond to, but I think her point is well taken. She said a lot.